Welcome, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. This is Kunal, and today we are going to discuss about what is programming, what are different programming languages, and how to get started. So, few months back, a first year student from computer science stream called me and asked me about what language of programming he should learn because he was really confused about where to begin, as there are so many options to choose from. Moreover, he was bothered about how he will learn all these languages. Then I laughed and remembered that I faced a similar problem when I was getting started to learn more about programming and development in general. I exactly knew how he felt, so I decided to first clear his perspective on programming. I asked him a question that what is programming? And he went silent for a few seconds and then narrated a definition that we find in books. He didn't even resonated with what he said. At this point, I was really sure that he has approached this whole thing with the wrong mindset. My question to you is, what is programming? What are programming languages? Well, programming is nothing but a set of operations in the form of instructions that we want our computer to perform. And programming languages are different languages for communicating with a computer about what those instructions are. Seriously, programming languages are nothing different than normal languages. Let me give you an example for better understanding. Think about a real world operation performed by us. Let's take a simple example like drinking water. So, if we want to drink water, we'll ask the other person to pass us some water. Now, keep that in mind. Passing the water is our underlying operation. We will accomplish this operation by instructing the other person to pass us some water, and to instruct will communicate in a language that other person understands. If the other person understands English, we'll communicate in English. If he understands Japanese, we'll communicate in Japanese. If he understands Chinese, we'll communicate in Chinese. But keep that in mind. The underlying operation of passing the water remains the same, irrespective of the language we choose to communicate. Similar is the case with computers. We want to accomplish an operation, for example, printing Hello World on our screens. Printing Hello World is our underlying operation, and we instruct the computer to do so in a language that it understands. Now we know that every language is capable of printing Hello World on our screens. But the question arises, if a language is capable of doing operations we desire, why do so many languages exist in the first place? Well, the answer lies in the specification of a particular language. All programming languages are not equal. Every language has its own pros and cons. For example, some languages are good for dealing with data structures, while others are fast at compiling, and so on. It all depends on the context in which you are using them. For example, if I want some client side operation to happen in a web browser, JavaScript will be the language to go for. Or if I want to develop native app for Windows, then C Sharp will be the language to go for. Each language exists because it solves a particular problem elegantly and meets the required needs for a situation. It is for this reason that so many languages exist. Now, the next logical question that comes to your mind will be, so, where should we begin? What language should we learn first? Now, that's a high quality question, and to tackle this, we need a process in place. What process, you might ask? End goal of programming language is to perform set of operations. Blankly learning a language without having those set of operations in mind will lead to vagueness. For you to find your first programming language, you need to define what those set of operations are for you. What do you want to accomplish rather than what operations do you want your computer to perform? For example, for me, it was that I want to make a tic tac toe game for Android. Just this one thought made few things clear in my mind. First, that I want to develop a game, which was my set of operations that I want my Android to perform. Second, it gave me clarity on what I should learn in order to accomplish this goal. That was it. This made it clear for me that Java was the language to learn in order to code an application for Android. Thus, I found my first language to learn. This process is really simple. By doing this, you will know what you want to accomplish. That is your set of operations, and what is the way to go. That is what language you have to learn. Another interesting thing regarding different languages is that first language is the toughest to learn. You may ask why. Because it is for the first time that you will be dealing with loops and logical structures. Once you build your competence in one language to communicate your operations, you will have a better understanding of how things fit in place and work. Rest is just syntax. Once you have learned one language, it is a transferable skill set. That is, it will be much easier for you to learn different language. The only barrier to entry will be the syntax of the new language. Let me be more precise. Once you know how to code in one language, it will be much easier for you to learn another language because you have already learned what are variables, what are loops, and other logical structures, and you know how to use them. The only thing that will be standing in your way will be the syntax of the new language. Let's assume you say bye in English and sayonara in Japanese when you are departing, but you know when to say it, you know when to use it. That is the key component. Once these fundamentals are clear to you, it is easy for you to switch between different languages and master a few of them. For anyone who is new to programming and want to start everything from scratch to build a rock solid foundation for programming, I would recommend one course to go about this process the right way. It doesn't matter if you know how to code in one language or you don't even know how to code at all. This course would be really beneficial in providing you with clarity and basic foundation to begin with. To make sense for all of the jargon in the programming world and what program really is at a fundamental level and different ideas that are implemented during programming, I would highly recommend Foundations of Programming by Simon Allardyce at lynda.com. And from there, you will have a foundation in place to learn any language of your choice.